This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, hosted by Jerry and Mark, your one-stop shop for all horrible movie reviews. From the latest blockbusters and independent films to classics, let Mark and Jerry convince you the world is a dangerous place, though often good for a laugh. Now come and listen to the Horror Movie Show, if you dare.
Good day, folks. Jerry here.
And Mark.
Bringing you another episode of the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com and iTunes and also the Crypt. Come on in. Crypt is fine. Why not?
You've been doing a lot of writing for the Crypt.
Yes, I do. I do some writing. I try to be their correspondent on The Walking Dead. We should be just about wrapping that up for the year. We'll be back next week to talk about Walking Dead on our own little podcast here. But this week we've got some new movies we're going to be talking about. In fact, they're just about all new movies. We're going to start by talking about the 2013 movie Nothing Left to Fear, directed by Anthony Leonardi III, written by Jonathan W.C. Mills. It stars, now this is going with the credits as IMDb gave them. Anne Heche comes first, playing Wendy, but I wouldn't say that she's the main character.
No.
James Tupper plays her husband Dan. Ethan Peck plays Noah. Rebekah Brandes plays Rebecca. Carter Cabasa plays Christopher. And Clancy Brown plays Pastor Kingman. This movie is about a young family. Dan is a pastor
of sorts.
Reverend, some kind of religious man. And he has brought his family and Heche and the kids to this little town. And he is replacing Clancy Brown's pastor as the religious leader of this community. Now, this is something, I don't know if this is uniquely American, but is everybody in this little town the same religion?
I guess.
There isn't a family of Catholics, or if there is a family of Catholics, perhaps they're shunned because they have to travel to the next town for their church service on Sunday.
This is one of those movies where it has a title, Nothing Left to Fear, which really has nothing to do with this movie at all.
Nothing left to do with this movie. I know it's when
I hear that title, I go, what was that movie about again? Because it just doesn't register as having anything to do with the movie whatsoever.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. The gist of the movie, I don't want to give it away, which I am prone to do, but the gist of the movie is that, you got the young pastor and his good-looking family have come to town, and there is a secret. There is a dark secret in the town, and that secret everybody knows about except this new family.
Yep.
And the secret is basically that human sacrifices must be made to keep hell down.
Yes, they are on top of this hellish pit of some sort.
Yeah.
Every so often they have to make these sacrifices.
Do you know what this movie reminded me of? And this is a much better movie than the one we're talking about now. Jugface.
Yes.
Jugface is not dissimilar in that there is a pit and it has some sort of a powerful, demonic, godlike force, and they have to keep it happy. Mm-hmm. And it'll do them favors, or it will wreak terrible vengeance.
Yes.
So, kind of similar. In fact, I suspect that they took some inspiration from Jugface.
Yeah, but this is nothing new. This plot line.
That's true. Jugface was so much better, so much more interesting.
Yeah, I mean this one
cliche after
a young guy that is attracted to one of the daughters of the pastor, who is having second thoughts about this sacrificing thing because he likes the girl. Mm-hmm. And we find out that his family was all killed as well, and we don't know how, but by the end
all this is like a chain. An unbroken chain that just keeps happening over and over and over. And the most interesting thing to me is that by the end of this chain of events that remains unbroken, by the end of it, the survivors go, yeah, okay, we understand. And they then help to forge the next link in the chain.
Yeah, which makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever.
No, it does. It does, because ultimately what is happening in this town is hugely important. it's important to the entire world. And so, they are brought in, and while it's a brutal and horrible reality, it is reality, and you accept it, or, you die. And I thought that was fairly clever. It isn't an absolutely terrible movie by any means. It's competently made. It's fairly well acted. Although I have to say, anything with Anne Heche in it just makes my flesh creep, because I haven't forgiven her for what she did to Ellen.
What did she do to Ellen?
They were lovers way back when.
Oh, right.
They were lovers, and she dumped Ellen, and Ellen was heartbroken and went around telling everybody.
All right.
I'm kidding. But I have always found Anne Heche rather rodential, and with her nasty pointed face, very very rat-like. And she plays such a nag in this movie. She never has anything nice to say about anything. She nags her husband, she nags her children, she nags the neighbors when they come over with cake and stuff for her on moving day.
Yeah.
Just nag. So I won't say how she buys it, but when she does, all right. Never liked the woman.
What about the monster itself? What'd you think?
Yeah, it was all right. Nothing special.
Yeah, it was kind of vague,
Yeah.
the monster. It's like almost a mist monster kind of thing. Showed up everywhere.
I'm not even really remembering it specifically.
Yeah. It's not very apparent. It's just something that's in the fog kind of thing.
Well, yeah.
It comes after you.
Yeah, it possesses people. That's what I remember now. Yeah.
So, I mean, overall, it's a mediocre movie.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to write home about, and nothing new either. Not a damn thing new in it.
No, but I did think the way everything is tied up at the end, I thought that was fairly cleverly done. But there's way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, much better out there. All right, next movie is called, and this is something different for us, but I think terror works as horror. All is Lost. This is a movie written and directed by J.C. Chandor. It's from 2013. And it has one actor in it, Robert Redford, who is credited as our man.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. He is on his own in a nice sailboat yacht, and
he's sleeping in the
things start to go wrong.
Yeah, it's like he's got the worst luck.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you.
Yeah. So he's asleep, middle of the night, and
in the middle of the ocean.
Middle of nowhere, yeah. And he's shaken awake. Water is coming in. What has happened is a container, one of those containers...
Well, a container from a ship.
Has fallen off a ship and is bobbing along with a jagged metal corner, has torn open the side of his...
yacht.
His yacht, and water is coming in. So now he can handle that. The boat isn't sinking under him at that point. He manages to patch it up. He's got his fiberglass repair kit, and he patches it up. But then a storm,
megastorm comes up.
And it is just, one thing piled on another, and I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was very well done.
There's about 5 lines of dialogue in the whole movie.
Yeah, it's mostly him just dealing.
This is the only movie in 100+ years of the history of international filmmaking that only one actor and one writer-director made this movie.
Is that right?
That's it. It's also making history, this movie. It's very low-key. Mm-hmm. It's if you like watching people repair things, this is the movie for you. This is the movie
for you, yeah.
Robert Redford is just bland. There's no expression on his face.
I wouldn't say bland so much as stoic. Like he deals, but also of course when he does lose it, then it is extremely powerful.
Because at that point it's like how many bad things can happen to one person.
Listen, if you were the sort of guy who flies off the handle when you stub your toe, you should not be sailing around the world in a yacht all by yourself. You obviously need to be, as this character is, ultimately self-reliant, and calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah,
and
guy,
he is.
He can fix anything.
Yeah. Didn't you believe it though? I mean, yeah.
The guy knew his stuff, and you get the sense that he's done this a long time.
He's really competent.
I mean, it's like Yeah.
But you learn nothing about him. You learn that he's married.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing that you find out, because he basically puts a note in a bottle and throws it over the side
at the end. But when he figures this is it, I mean, there's nothing left for him.
He manages to get the ship into the Pacific shipping lanes. He manages. It takes days, but he manages to get his crippled ship into the shipping lanes, and he sees big ships, but they are so big and there's massive. So few people on board that nobody is there to help him.
Yeah.
And he goes through one shipping lane, and then he goes through the opposite direction shipping lane, and then he's into the nothing again. And it's just like, oh damn, because he's got no way to stop. He can't.
Yeah. He can't. The current's taking.
Yeah. He's just traveling.
He's just taking the current.
Yeah.
The script was 32 pages long.
Is that right? Yeah. Well, it ain't
with
dialogue.
Hardly any dialogue with it. No. Probably, about 5 lines in the whole thing. And 2 of the 3 of those lines were right at the beginning.
Right. Yeah, that's right. They are. This movie would be among the easiest movies to market internationally.
Yes.
Because apart from those few lines at the beginning, which could be redubbed into any language on earth.
Yeah.
Okay, where's the Inuit actor?
Yeah.
Let's get him in here, If this movie's going to fly in Tuktoyaktuk, we got to get him in here.
But it's the whole thing of it. It's almost like real time. Almost.
Yeah.
And that
it feels that way.
Some of the things that he does is just time consuming, and he's taking things and putting it into the dinghy, and back and forth, and looking at things and reading things and taking books off shelves.
Well, he's so thoughtful. He's so smart and thoughtful, and he's doing everything he can
to survive,
to ensure his survival. And I love the fact that he's all ready to push off. He's got his self-contained lifeboat with a roof on it, everything is cool, and he's ready to go. And there's that moment when he's about to cast off, and he goes, wait. And he goes back onto his sinking ship, and he gets that last thing that he wanted to get, and he comes back on board. It's a sextant, I think. And he then runs into bad weather, and he never sees the sun again. So the sextant is useless. And it's just, oh my God, it's just one thing after another.
2 storms hit him one after another.
Yeah, brutal storms.
How bad can you...
One finishes off his wooden boat, and the other practically finishes off his
dinghy.
Inflatable.
Yeah. It's one of those movies where it's like being there. It's like Gravity in a lot of ways.
Also open water, I thought, with the 2 divers who are just treading water in the middle of nowhere, and the sharks start circling in, because he has sharks to deal with. He has...
And that James Franco, that's
127 hours. Yeah.
Those are all same type of movie where it's just...
Yep. One person against the odds. Yeah. And also, there was that excellent movie, probably the best movie I've seen, Ryan
Reynolds,
yeah.
The one where he's buried alive.
Was it The Box?
I can't remember the title, but he's buried alive.
He wakes up, he's in a coffin, essentially, and some terrorist has buried him, and it's the only other voice you hear through the whole movie is the terrorist on the phone.
No, and the person trying to rescue him.
That's right, just on the phone. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, 127 hours, the James Franco movie, they did have flashbacks. They did show his life. Robert Redford, you don't see anything of that character.
You don't know anything about him.
No.
Other than the fact you can see some pictures.
He was married, he is married, and he writes sort of an apology to his wife, which you hear at the very, very beginning. But won't give away the ending, folks. It is, however, well worth seeing.
And that's debatable, what really happens at the end.
It is.
Because when I saw the end, I'm going, wait a minute.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? It could be fantasy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is this really happening?
Yeah. So in that way, it's not dissimilar to the movie we talked about a year or so ago about the 2 guys whose truck breaks down in the desert.
Right.
And the ending on that one, that surprise ending.
Yeah.
Is it? What is reality?
Yeah.
Essentially. What is death? What's on the other side of death? Are they even dead? You just don't know.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in this. It's very ambiguous and beautifully done.
Yeah.
So highly recommend it. And to me, I have a real fear of drowning, so to me this is a horror movie. Definitely. All is Lost, it's called. Next movie, Almost Human. Written and directed by Joe Begos. It stars Graham Skipper as Seth, Josh Ethier as Mark, Vanessa Lee as Jen, and Susan T. Travers as Becky. This is a little movie that's been, it got a lot of play on The Crypt. That's how we heard about it. I can't say it was 100% successful, but as a sort of a first effort, I give him some points. It certainly wasn't as bad as the movie we saw last week, Scream Park.
No, not anywhere as close to being as bad as that.
Much better than Scream Park. Sort of a cliched idea. Josh Ethier's character, Mark, was taken away by aliens, essentially.
We assume.
Yeah. Well, isn't that what they're saying? He's taken away by aliens, and then he's returned. And he's sort of blue and shivering, and a couple of hunters find him. And naked and covered in goo. And when these two hunters come across him, he eats the face off one of them and kills the other. And
well, before that, I mean, Seth Hampton, I guess they call him here, he's driving along, and he experiences this light and sound,
right.
And he rushes to his friend Mark's place,
right,
and he's hysterical,
right.
And he says, "This something happened. They took somebody. I can't remember who they took, but somebody was with him,
right.
And they took that person." And Mark and his girlfriend or wife.
Yeah. Mark insists on going outside. He doesn't take it as seriously.
Well, suddenly the sound and the light are outside of his house.
Yeah. And he goes out to investigate, and he vanishes.
He just vanishes. Yeah. A light comes down from above.
That's right. It's important that we know that two people have been kidnapped by these aliens or whatever they are.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, when the movie begins in earnest, Mark has been returned by whatever it was that took him.
And he's on a rampage.
Yeah. He's almost human, but he's not quite.
Yeah, because he can talk, and sometimes he looks normal.
Well, he has memories. He knows who he is, what he is.
He goes back to his old place where he used to live with his girlfriend and kills the people that are living there now.
What are you doing in my house, he says. Yeah.
And takes, I don't know how I can't remember how he kills him. But
well, he kills with an axe, with a
knife,
chainsaw, with knives.
Yeah. He's like
shotgun,
a madman on the rampage.
Yes,
and he's looking for his girlfriend.
Right.
And he comes across a number of other people along the way. And that's basically what this movie's about.
But what the ultimate purpose of this returned Mark is, I never really got that. He just comes back and he's a killing machine. But I'm not entirely sure why.
And I think...
Oh, no, wait, no, of course, he's breeding. He is the pod people. He's turning other humans into zombie creatures like himself.
He does something to them, and all this foam comes out of their mouth, and it covers them, and they're in some sort of incubation period.
Like a cocoon.
And then they hatch, and they're like him. They're crazy, and they want to kill.
Yeah, that's
so we aren't...
It's a while since I've seen this,
We aren't really told why this is happening. It just is happening.
It is happening. Boy,
and
is it ever.
We never see the aliens who abduct these people.
No.
But we see the ramifications of them being returned.
Well, pretty much the entire budget was spent on the gruesome effects of killing people and chopping them into chunks and stuff.
And the cocoons and all that stuff.
Yeah. No, I would have liked to have had more explanation of what happened.
More dialogue.
It's the acting is not the best.
The idea is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Except for there is no resolution.
Yeah. Movie I just watched again. Probably about the sixth time I've seen it.
You must like it.
Fire in the Sky, about the group of buddies who are on a team. I think they're like loggers, and they're out in the woods on their way home, and they see a bright light.
Right.
And one of their group gets out of the truck and is taken up by aliens, and he's returned a few days later, and we get to see what he claims he saw, based on a true story.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. Based on the story they told, anyway. And some of the most fascinating alien footage I've ever seen, because these aliens, I mean, they treat him worse than humans would treat a monkey in a lab. They are just brutal to him. They also look exactly like my maternal grandmother, these aliens. And I had her cooking for years and years, and yes, They are. I think my grandmother was
on the mother's side then.
Yeah, Grandma Little. Oh, brutal. Yes, if you're going to deal with aliens, but we don't know it was aliens. We assume it was aliens, but perhaps he was taken to hell. We don't know.
We don't know. No.
Interdimensional beings from...
Overall, I mean, a competent movie.
Yeah.
But, not really great movie.
Yeah. It's like high amateur.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the next one will be better.
Yeah, hopefully.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Next movie we got here, a 2011 movie titled Hell, a German movie directed by Tim Fellbaum, written by Fellbaum, Oliver Kahl and Thomas Wobke. Stars Hannah Hertzsprung as Marie, Lars Eldinger as Philip, Stipe Urkeg as Tom, and Lisa Vicari as Leonie. And this is a sort of post-apocalyptic...
No.
Well, I mean, the weather has gotten so super hot.
Well, I think it said it in German. But
yeah, I
think it said that the average temperature of the Earth went up 10 degrees Celsius, which is hot. That's imagine everywhere in the world getting 25 degrees hotter.
Fahrenheit. Yeah.
So if you're used to 70 or 80 degree weather,
only Americans still use Fahrenheit.
Yes,
they refuse to join the
rest.
One of us. Join us, Americans. It's so much easier.
Anyway, that would mean like places like that are typically 80 degree weather would now be 105 degree weather.
It's
so the planet is basically burnt to crap.
Baking.
And there are all the vegetation,
food.
Very little vegetation, and people are starving, and people are trying to find water.
Yes,
that's what our little group of people are trying to do.
They're always looking for canned food and water. Now, to me, this movie is a rip-off of The Road. It is essentially the same story because the villains in this are cannibals, people who've reverted to cannibalism, and they're keeping in their basement a herd of naked,
because their cows are dead.
That is a scene stolen directly from Cormac McCarthy's great novel The Road, and it's in the movie version of The Road too, but nowhere near with the terror that the story had. And I think they do a better job in Hell of recreating the written Cormac McCarthy, the people being kept as food animals, than the movie version of The
breeding
Road.
Stock.
Yeah, no, there's you got to have food to breed.
Yeah, I know, but they had a lot of food.
But they only had other people.
Yeah, I know.
You're not going to kill people and feed other people so that 9 months later you get another baby.
No. The two girls they wanted as breeding stock.
Oh yeah.
So they wanted them part of the family.
Yeah.
But the rest
soup pot.
Yeah, the soup pot, so to speak, the herd.
So easy to find Germans as villains. Way too easy for me to believe.
Well, we follow a little group of people.
Two sisters
and her boyfriend.
A boyfriend and another.
There's a third person that they meet at a gas station.
Fourth person.
Should I say? Second guy.
Who turns out to be very handy.
Yes, they don't trust him to start off with, but he proves himself trustworthy.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a myth going around that there's water in the hill.
Right.
And that's what they're going towards, is that all these people are saying there's water in the hills, go over there and you'll find water. Well, it turns out that this myth is brought on by this close-knit family who are enticing people into the hills so that they can eat them.
They're sort of hillbilly maniacs. The
German versions of them.
Yeah. Well, the hillbillies had to emigrate from somewhere.
Yeah.
Again, it is too close to The Road story, which is the father and son heading south because the world is freezing in The Road as opposed to baking, and they're heading south looking for warmth, whereas in this movie, in Hell, they're sort of looking for high ground.
Yeah.
But why would they? And in fact, by the end of the movie, they do seem to have found some water. But
yeah, there are a lot of mountain streams in Europe.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be a stream, because to have a stream you have to have snowpack,
but it comes right out of the land.
That's different. Then you're talking springs.
Spring. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd have to say, well, if you want to see German cannibals on the march, this is a good movie for you.
It wasn't a bad movie. It had its good points.
Very cute girl playing the younger sister, Leonie, Lisa Vicari. but I wasn't impressed with the acting over much. I thought the guy playing Tom, Stipe Urkeg, he's the guy who comes in late in the story. I thought he did a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, our next movie, and this is a real piece of work. It's called Nurse, or Nurse 3D, 2013 movie, filmed in Toronto, so Canada has to claim some of the blame. Directed by Douglas Arniakowski, written by Arniakowski and David Lowery. It stars, this woman is bizarre, Paz de la Huerta as Abby Russell, Katrina Bowden as Danny, Judd Nelson, remember him from The Breakfast Club, as Dr. Morris, Kathleen Turner.
She had a bit part.
Tiny little part as the head nurse, but they give her a big credit. And Corbin Bleu plays Danny's boyfriend, Steve.
Kathleen Turner is not aged well.
No.
Oh.
Well, they had her on Friends playing a transvestite.
Right.
Not just a transvestite, a transsexual, because nobody can believe that she is still a woman. And it's a shame. Her voice is so deep, and she looks so rough. Yeah. And she was very attractive when she was a younger woman.
Yes, Romancing the Stone.
But once she hit about 40, boy, everything seemed to drop, including her testicles. She's just a little on the scary side. So yeah, in this, I mean, she popped up to Toronto for the afternoon.
Maybe she lives there. Who knows?
Did her 3 lines, her 1 minute on film, and then she was out of there with a small paycheck. Good for you, Kathleen.
Abby, who is the lead character.
Yes, Paz de la Huerta.
Isn't she wonderful?
Oh, my God. Somebody on the IMDb entry for Nurse says that she's supposed to be super sexy, but except when she is naked, and she is naked a lot, except when she's naked, she looks like a transvestite, and her face looks, and this is the line from the review, her face looks like a busted sofa, which I thought was one of the best descriptions I've ever heard.
It was weird because some scenes she looked real sexy.
Yeah.
I mean, even her face.
Yeah.
And others, it looked distorted. Her lips.
She's weird and... Yeah,
her lips just look odd. It looks like they're pasted on.
She's overdone. Like everything about her is too much. And she wears like dark purple lipstick. So she's got like this ghoulish
Sometimes it's bright red, and sometimes it's this odd, dark, fleshy,
purple, swollen looking.
Yeah.
But for some reason, except for some dark around her eyes, she doesn't seem to wear eye makeup, so she has like these tiny little piggy eyes. She just, I found nothing about her attractive. And when she does have her clothes off, she looks like she was built in a Swedish cosmetics factory. She's just not attractive to me.
What about the clothes she was wearing, the see-through clothes?
Oh, I know.
Those were kind of cool.
The nurse's uniform that she wears at the hospital.
Yes, like you could see right through it.
And the high heels and all that. It looks like
she goes not only in the nurses, but she had these outfits she wore out in the public.
Yeah.
She's practically naked.
Yeah. She's a killer, and her thing, this nurse's thing, I mean, she's murdering people in the hospital, but she also likes to go out and kill men at nightclubs.
Oh, yeah. She figures that men are pigs because they're all unfaithful bastards.
Yes. So she goes and she tempts married guys. She sees a guy with a ring on. She tempts him. She gets him up. This is the first scene. She gets him up on the roof, and then she cuts him and dumps him over the roof.
Yeah.
And to her, in her insane way, this is justice. This is what they deserve. She's saving their wives.
Exactly.
She's gay, although she probably wouldn't even want to admit it.
She's bisexual.
Well, she doesn't like these men. She doesn't let the men have their way with her. She just kills them before they ever have a chance. The people she has sex with are the women.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I think that's gay.
And she has a friend at the hospital, and she befriends
Danny. The new girl.
Yeah, Danny.
The beautiful blonde nurse.
Danny is a girl, by the way. Yes. So she's infatuated with Danny.
Yes.
But Danny is freaked out by her.
Oh, it takes a while, but yeah.
And that she cannot accept.
No.
So she's going to wreck Danny's life.
Yeah.
and she goes out of her way to wreck it.
Yeah.
And I love her rampage through the hospital.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. She goes through just about every room, slashing and hacking everybody she meets, all the patients that are on.
She goes into recovery rooms and she locks the door and she just goes from one bed to the other, killing the patients in front of the security guards and Danny as they stare aghast at this maniac.
By the time she's got to the bottom layer of the hospital, she is covered in blood. Everyone she meets figures it's her blood.
Yeah, that she's a victim.
She's a victim, and she's just playing it. Yeah. And then as soon as they turn their back, then they're another victim. Yeah. I liked this movie.
Did you?
I did.
I found it tiresome.
I did. I thought it was just... I thought the way she walked, the way she talked, the way she, that she's narrating the story, it was just so... It was very stylized.
Yeah, it reminds me of a little bit of those movies that came out of Andy Warhol's factory back in the late 60s into the 70s, often directed by Paul Morrissey, like Frankenstein, the 3D version of Frankenstein.
I'm still looking for the 3D version of Frankenstein.
Oh, terrific, yeah.
I want to see that. I remember is the spear out of the chest with the liver on it.
Liver hanging off, dropping bits.
That was so classic.
Yeah, I did see it in 3D in the theater.
This is a disturbing movie, but at the same time, I was fascinated by it.
Did you find it funny?
I did. I found it funny. I found it horrific in a lot of places. Right. She was going crazy. She was going crazy through this movie.
Well, she's already crazy.
Yeah, but she was going more crazy as time was going on.
Plus, of course, this is just her latest incarnation.
Yeah.
She's had to flee many times, and she's a chameleon. So, by the end of this movie... Well, I don't want to give it away. I won't say. But
yeah, this is
she has many faces.
Yeah, this isn't the first place she's dropped by.
yeah. Left a trail of mutilated bodies behind her.
And she doesn't hold a grudge, I don't think. I think she just goes on to the next whatever.
But she has to, yeah.
Yeah, because she didn't go back to kill the person she wants to kill.
Mark liked it a lot more than I did.
I just thought it was a fun movie, even though it was grisly as hell. I thought it was fun.
I thought it was just too forced. I just didn't find it that amusing. I'm glad you liked it. I sort of see what the director was going for, but I just found her to be so horrible that I just couldn't enjoy the scenes she was in.
Well, you're taking it too personally.
Yeah, maybe.
I thought it was really funny because sometimes her face looked normal and sexy, and other times it looked distorted, like a crazy person.
I never found her sexy.
And it's like... depending on the scene, it's like she was flipping back and forth.
Oh, no, I just thought she was a monster every scene she was in. And I couldn't believe
she was a monster.
That these guys are falling for it because
she's got a bod.
You see a man-eater. Oh, but she looks like a drag queen.
No, she didn't.
She does. She looks like Divine on a diet.
And people like drag queens. You may not like them, but
your average straight guy does not want to find out that he's been...
I loved her narrative. I loved the way she walked. She just walked with this stride.
Well,
everywhere she went, she had this stride.
No, sway is what you mean.
Yeah, well...
She does the model walk where she puts her feet not just in front of each other, but she crosses her legs every step, which is that model walk. So she sways a lot back and forth. But and she's always in stiletto heels and stuff, which is really what you want when you're a nurse working in a hospital. Well, that's what
really pisses me off with TV in general, and movies for that matter. You have women playing detectives and things like that, and they're all wearing high heels.
Right.
I'm going, what kind of detective would wear high heels if they have to chase people down an alley? I just makes no sense to me. And it's like, to me... That's Hollywood.
Yeah, but that's just it. Only in Hollywood do detectives ever have to chase anybody.
Yeah.
In real life, detectives, they visit a crime scene after the fact. They go back to the office.
And they make paperwork.
And they do papers. Yeah. That's all. Okay, I got one more thing we want to talk about this show. It's being run here late in the evenings, 1:30, 2:30 in the morning, on one of the local channels, the Alfred Hitchcock Hour. And I have seen a couple. Mark watched one of these that I managed to videotape. It's just running shows. And I would have thought that the Alfred Hitchcock Hour was like Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which were little half-hour mysteries. But this show, does science fiction, it does horror, it does all kinds of absolutely fascinating stories.
It was produced around 1965.
Yeah, the first one, Consider Her Ways is the name of the episode. 1964, directed by Robert Stevens, who did a lot of directing for Disney in coming years. Written by Oscar Millard, based on a short story by one of my favorite science fiction writers, John Wyndham. He wrote The Chrysalids, for example.
Yeah.
Consider Her Ways, it's called. It stars Barbara Barry, Ellen Corby, who was the grandmother in The Waltons. Gladys Cooper plays an old lady, and she was what friends of mine called, she was one of the bumheads.
Bumheads?
Bumheads on the Star Trek, the original first episode of Star Trek, where Captain Christopher Pike is taken captive on this alien planet, and the aliens holding him have giant, swollen, veiny heads that pulse.
Well, they call those bumheads? I would have called them brainheads.
Well, but they have like a big cleft at the back, so as they're walking away, it looks like big butts on their skinny little necks. Anyway, that was just a joke my friends had. So the story was terrific. Obviously not much of a budget. It looks about as much money behind it as a Twilight Zone episode.
Sure.
But it really had that same feel. And that was a nice little science fiction story about a woman, Barbara Barry, who takes an experimental drug. She wakes up in what seems to be about 150 years in the future. All the men are dead, and the women are reproducing asexually in laboratories and so on. And it turns out that this future society...
Well, not completely in laboratories. They impregnate other women.
Yeah, but I mean...
Somehow.
Exactly.
I don't know where they got the sperm from, but...
Well, it's called test tube babies. That doesn't mean that they're grown in the test tube, just mixed in the test tube.
And her lot in life in the future...
is to be a mother.
And that's what she's called, a mother.
Yes, she
has no name.
Yes, but like an ant colony, they have their specific roles to play. And she wakes up, and she's, a woman from today, liberated and all that, and she refuses, she finds this bizarre... Anyway,
she is huge, too.
Yeah, I know. The breeding women are like...
She had a fat costume on.
Like queen ants. She's enormous. That was very good, and when she comes out of the drug haze and she comes back to today, to reality, she finds that the doctor who had caused the plague that killed all the men, she finds out that there is a doctor with this actual name, and she goes and she hunts him down, and she tries to get him to stop his research. He won't, so she shoots him to death. Now, that is the plot of the second Terminator movie. And I think James Cameron saw this movie when he was young, when he was a kid, and he saw this TV show, and this is the big push for the
Terminator.
The idea that you can change the future by killing Dyson.
But unfortunately, she doesn't change the future.
No, in neither show does the future. She delays it, perhaps, but she doesn't.
No, it ends up that she kills the wrong person.
Yeah, because his son is also
named
the same name and also a biologist. And the other episode, which unfortunately Mark didn't see, I wasn't quick enough. I didn't tape this one. It's from '65. It's called Where the Woodbine Twineth. Twineth. Yes, it's an old line from an old poem, I think. Directed by Alf Kellen, written by James Bridges, based on a short story by Davis Grubb. Margaret Leighton plays Nell Snyder, a middle-aged woman who takes in her little niece, Eva, played by Eileen Barrell. And little Eva has a rich fantasy life, and she has a doll, for example. That's the majority.
Why is it dolls are always evil in black and white?
Yeah, little bit of Chucky here, These movies all 10 years before the movies like Child's Play introduced the world to Chucky. But a lot of similarities here. But the idea is that the little girl thinks that the doll is alive. It's the doll is a little black child. It's a little black toddler doll. And this little white girl, Eva, this is her best friend, and they're constantly talking. And Margaret, Leighton's character, Aunt Nell, is trying to convince the little girl that she's got to give up this fantasy. And she keeps saying, well, I'll take the doll away. And she does. She puts the doll up on top of the piano, and the little girl is supposed to not have access to it. But she does, and Aunt Nell goes outside and sees a little black girl playing around the tree, and she chases the little black girl away, orders her off the property and never come back. And she finds the box with the doll in it, and she opens up, and it's her little niece Eva turned into a doll. Really creepy. They managed to make the doll look just like the little girl. So they were switching. Only one could be alive at a time. And she chased away the little black girl before they could swap again. They're really, really chilling. And I was watching it, I just went, whoa! Like, I see fingers up my spine. Beautifully done.
The other show that, the first show we were talking about.
Consider Her Ways.
Yeah. It was interesting because when she was in the future.
Yeah.
Again, it was like Star Trek scenery.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it was like bleak walls, just nothing on the walls.
Yep.
The doors were all misshapen.
Funny shaped doors.
Doors, and they're all automatic doors. Yeah. And
camera angles all tilted slightly.
Like Batman.
And weird shadows.
Like Batman.
Like Batman or Star Trek.
Yeah. Very, very stylized. It's the same directors you'd swear was doing them all.
Absolutely. And obviously, Gladys Cooper is in the very first Star Trek, which was made just, 2 years after this episode. So she was an old lady working. Mm-hmm. And while she's not specifically playing an old lady, she's got so much makeup on in the Star Trek pilot. She's just playing an alien, but, I recognize that beaky face and those deep-set eyes.
It's funny because they all have uniforms kind of thing.
Yeah,
the future people.
Yeah.
What is it with people? When are we going to get to the age where we're all wearing the same thing?
Jerry Seinfeld says that. At what point do we just all decide, the silver jumpsuit? Yeah. That's what we'll all wear from now on.
Because we're all Earthlings at that point. There are no countries at this point. Yeah. And we're waiting for the aliens to show up and say, yes, we're all one people.
Easier just to hose us down rather than do laundry all the time. Yeah. All right, so let's take a look back at the movies we talked about. Nothing Left to Fear with Anne Heche and James Tupper.
I've already forgotten what it's about.
About the pastor who comes to the little town. I thought it was okay. Nothing Left to Fear, nothing much to recommend, but it was all right.
It's nothing new.
No.
It's absolutely nothing new there.
Yeah. Clancy Brown was good. All Is Lost with Robert Redford. I thought it was great.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
I thought, if you put it on fast forward, you wouldn't miss a thing.
Oh, stop it. The build-up of tension I thought was beautifully done.
If you like to watch people in real time sleep.
No way. Mark's opinion is wrong.
No, it was actually a very good movie, but it just shows you the aggravation that builds up because the guy was competent and nothing that he did
was enough.
Yeah. It just kept coming on and on and on. And
he can't control the weather.
Yeah, and it's just circumstance.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, happens over like an 8-day period.
It's a while.
It's an 8-day period, they say at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And it's just bad jujubes. I don't know who he pissed off.
Yeah, really.
But it just kept coming.
Yeah, so I think we both recommend All Is Lost. Almost Human. Look forward to their next feature. I'm sure it'll be much more competent than this one. But good job, Joe.
Low budget.
Yeah, very low budget. German movie, Hell.
I enjoyed it. Again, nothing really new, but at the same time, it was entertaining.
Right. If you like The Road, it's an interesting variant on that. But I agree, it's nothing very original. Nurse. Mark liked that way more than I did.
Yes, I did.
I found it boring, even with all the naked transvestites.
I didn't find it boring at all. I thought it was very entertaining.
Took me 3 goes, watched about 30 minutes each time.
I watched it in one sitting.
I'll bet you did.
I just thought it was fascinating. I just thought that it was fascinating.
I wish I'd found it fascinating. I found it very difficult to get through. And then, of course, I was rambling on about the Alfred Hitchcock Hour, and I would recommend it. I'm sure it's out on DVD. There must be a box set of it. But perhaps not. You couldn't find any mention of copies online.
So this year is the big year.
Why, what?
Batman. It's coming out on DVD.
Yeah, indeed.
And Blu-ray, hopefully.
Boy, I loved that show. used to dress up as Batman and ride around on my little bicycle looking for people to help.
I remember
But then the next year I had to go to college, so,
66 was it was in 65 and 66, I think, or 66, 67 that they had the series.
Oh, it was at least 2 years, more like 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
It started as a half hour, and then didn't it expand to an hour?
No, but they just had double episodes.
Oh, okay.
Right. And they would play them one day.
Loved that show.
2 days in a row.
Just like the old Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons. When I was little, I appreciated it for the action. I took it completely seriously. But my parents used to watch it, and because it was so funny. And I see it now in reruns, and I realize just how campy and hilarious it was.
Well,
a lot of people were upset with it at the time because it was mocking Batman, really. It was mocking the comics. But anybody who in the 1960s was taking the Batman comics seriously, I think they had a brain disorder because they were pretty mockable.
Did you see, was it Liam Neeson on The Daily Show talking about Rocky and Bullwinkle? Or somebody was talking about Rocky Bullwinkle on The Daily Show.
Liam.
And he was saying, I have my kids watch Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah.
Because
it's the guy from Modern Family, because he plays Mr. Peabody. He was the one who was on that show.
Mr. Peabody.
The dog, the talking dog. No. He was on talking about Peabody and Sherman.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And Colbert actually is in that.
Peabody, yes, he is. Peabody and Sherman was on the Rocky and Bullwinkle show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and they were talking about that. And he said, I have my kids watch that instead of the crap that they produce now.
Yeah.
It's like, this is good, this is funny, this is not funny.
No, that's all the modern cartoons, all they want to do is sell something.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done that for years and years. This isn't anything new. My Little Pony was all about marketing. It had nothing,
and still is.
And of course it is.
And it's made a big resurgence.
Yeah, and it's,
hey, my niece is a friend of one of the voices for My Little Pony.
Oh, really?
She went to a conference here in Richmond.
Oh, that's just sad.
Where people go and flock to get her signature.
Yeah, I know.
And that she charges $50 a signature.
50?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a rip.
And it's like incredible.
Good luck getting that money back when you realize what you've done. Nobody else is going to pay for that.
Unbelievable.
Okay, folks, so on that unbelievable note, I think we're going to wrap this episode. Now, I have to say one thing about Mr. Peabody, and that is that the original joke was that Sherman was Mr. Peabody, the talking dog. Sherman was his boy.
Yes.
Now, in the movie, he's adopted Sherman.
Yes.
Now, what? They have to be PC? The dog can't own a boy? The joke was that he owned the boy the way the boy normally owns the dog.
Yes.
And now, oh no, he's adopted him. Give me a break. How pathetic is that? They can't let that joke slide?
I don't know. I hear it's decent. I haven't seen it yet.
No, I haven't seen it.
But I hear it's decent.
Yeah, I don't know why they drag these things out from the grand old past.
Yeah, I mean,
just to make a buck.
It's funny because sometimes they do a non-animated version of an old animation, and people are upset.
Boris and Natasha.
Yeah, and people are upset. They never really make a lot of money, and everyone's always disappointed.
Yeah.
And the fact is that sometimes it's just the same way as the cartoon was. They didn't change anything, and people were expecting something else.
And then on the other hand, you have Jim Carrey as the Grinch.
Yeah.
Ruining the good vibes from the original. Or the Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers.
Yeah,
just
both of those were really bad. Yeah. But Horton Hears a Who.
And they waited.
I liked that one.
Yeah, that they at least animated.
Yeah, at least that animated. Yeah. But still, it was a good performance.
Okay.
By Steve Carell.
People call us an intellectual discussion.
Well, we can have an intellectual discussion some other time.
Mr. Peabody is an intellectual. That's who's an intellectual.
Yes.
Okay, folks. So we're out of